I think utilities as a whole has probably had some bad press up to today, but I think our main issue within the water and wastewater sector is that we're probably not viewed as the most sexy of industries or organisations to join. I think that's doing us a substantial misservice because the amount of complexity that underpins simply getting clean water to come out of a tap every time you turn it on is substantial. And I think the more people we can tell that story to, the more people appreciate it, the more people get it. But I do still think there is, if you gave somebody the opportunity of joining a merchant bank or you gave somebody the opportunity of joining a water company, a lot of people would swing towards the merchant bank rather than the water company. Access points and the channels for candidates to actually access jobs has increased exponentially over the last few years. I think in particular this has led to a substantial increase in volume because it's just made it easier for people to apply. You no longer have to write an extensive cover letter. In fact, people are being driven more and more towards standard application forms and online systems. What this has meant is there's a lot more sifting work to be done, maybe less in terms of actually attracting the volume. I think we've had more applications, although probably have a question mark over whether the quality has increased alongside that as well. I also think it's made sourcing, in certain extents, a lot easier through aspects such as LinkedIn and some of the CV databases. However, that's created its own challenges in that we now need to make sure that we're verifying what's written up, particularly with self-generated content like LinkedIn, when you can pretty much put whatever you want up there in terms of your job history. It then comes incumbent on us as recruiters to do a lot more background checking and a lot more verification of that information when it comes through. It very much used to be a person-to-person networking business for in-house recruiters, or reliance on a larger number of agencies. Things like talent pooling, CV sifting was in its infancy. Online recruitment was really just starting to get into its stride. Certainly when I entered into the industry, I think it's now changed out of all explanation. I think you're less of a sourcing specialist and more of a sifting and determining the sort of requirements of the business rather than actually going out and sort of working your way through your Rolodex. I think the other interesting is the decline of the influence of recruitment agencies to more of a almost transactional process or very, very niche suppliers. The days of going out to a general agency and spraying 50 or 60 vacancies to them a month seems to have pretty much gone by the wayside. I think inevitably you have an improving economic situation, which means that the competition for talent, which never really went away for certain sectors, I think is going to get more intense. You're going to start to see salary inflation, which means organisations are going to have to be much more savvy in terms of how they put over their employee value proposition, particularly if you're not able to compete on offering massive bonuses or huge salaries or extensive benefits packages. I think you've got increasing candidate expectation as the market's increased that needs to be managed. I think you will have a proliferation of suppliers re-entering the market. The inevitable sort of pop-up agencies will start aggregating again, starting to sew up supply. If we take engineering, for example, in some fairly niche areas, I also think you've got the competition from some of the major projects. If we take engineering again with High Speed 2, we've already had engineers being contacted provisionally by agencies trying to sew up candidate streams beforehand. Other than this, there's the global demand for talent hasn't really gone away. Certainly when my time in New Zealand, you were looking at GDP growth of 3.5%, driving massive increased economic activity, smaller locations having to naturally look much more globally for where they're going to source talent from. That's going to make competition even scarcer.